Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana has been home to the Hoosiers for nearly 6 decades. But it has never seen a season opener like this one. For the first time, Indiana opens against a ranked opponent, but not just any ranked opponent. The second-ranked team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes, are in Bloomington. This is a series they've owned, and as they walk in through the construction, Ohio State itself is a little bit reconstructed on offense and ready to put their new wares on display in Bloomington tonight. The Hoosiers, meanwhile, welcoming Tom Allen, who starts his first full season as a head coach after taking over the bowl game last year and hoping to pull off a gargantuan win to open this season. College Game Day opening in Bloomington.
ESPN College Game Day. We're coming to your city. Yeah. And we're coming to your city. Well, we roll right through Death Valley, Sooner and Gig and Maggie, through our Longhorns up in Austin along the way. Roll Tide, roll through Alabama, hit 'em hard at Harm and Stanford, put our hands up for the War Eagle on the plains. Rock the big house on the town. Let's go! Breaking ours and the tomahawk chop, right on USA, the Buckeyes are the roads.
Check it out, now there's no doubt how the Game Day crew makes them scream out loud to a packed house, the show that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Breaking down the matchup with Powerhouse. You're me.
With Reese Corso, Des, David, and Kirk, you know ESPN is putting in that work. Like fourth and goal, get ready to play. It's time to kick off Florida's College Game Day.
And we're coming
To your city.
if you want a little bang in your yin yang, if you want a little zing in your zang, if you want a little ching in your chang chang. Come along, yeah. Yeah, we're coming to your city.
College Game Day, live from Bloomington, Indiana, is built by the Home Depot. Proud sponsor of college football's premier pregame show.
I know basketball's in the DNA here, candy stripe pants and all of that, but there is optimism and excitement about this Indiana football team. Hoosiers are 1-58 all-time against top 5 opponents, but isn't that what the start of the season's about? Everybody's got a chance. Everybody's optimistic, and maybe, just maybe, they hope they'll see the ultimate stunner tonight. Glad to have you with us on this first full weekend of college football. Reese Davis alongside Desmond Howard, Kirk Herbstreit. The man of the hour tonight, former Indiana boss, Lee Corso. You know what, Lee? We haven't seen a Big Ten conference game, guys, to open the season in more than 20 years.
Wow.
Indiana hasn't opened a season playing a Big Ten opponent since 1982, when the Hoosiers beat Old Northwestern, I think,
Northwestern.
30-0.
Wow. I'll see you had them ready.
On the sideline, you're ready to get 1-0 in the Big Ten that night, Coach.
Denny Green was the coach of the team. We had him 30-0 at halftime, and I didn't run the ball no times in the second half.
Really?
Yeah, because you know why? Because I remember I was him so many times, and the guys would run up on me. But you know, I coached in the Big Ten and in Indiana for 10 years, and then I loved it here. But it's been 35 years since I've coached here and been here. It's the first time I've seen him in person play. First time I've seen Indiana play. I spent the afternoon with some of my former players, and it was terrific. I loved them. We exchanged many great memories. It reminded me of saying, Kurt, when a coach dies, he leaves pieces of them in all his players.
Right.
I saw many pieces of me, and I was so tremendously grateful. I love my players, and I love being with them. It was an emotional situation,
Sure,
but it was great.
We saw a few of your players last night out at the dinner, and they love you like a dad. You know, I think you coached in an era where the coaches really got involved with the players and in their lives. So it's cool to see you have a chance to see those players come back. And you know, one thing about coming here to Bloomington, all these years you and I've traveled, we bump into a player here or there. Here you are back in your day. That's all. There's your quarterbacks right there.
Tim Clifford, 14, most valuable player in the Big Ten.
Look at the jet black. Look at the swag. The strut. Look at the strut.
Nice. You know what we need? We need more coaches brave enough to wear red pants. There you go. That's what we need.
And, you know, I was at the facility earlier today, and I ran into a couple of your former players.
Yeah.
And I talked to the AD, you know, Fred Glass, and he said that everyone was so happy to have you back here on campus. I'm talking about you're just a beloved individual here up in Bloomington, so it's great to be a part of this.
And, you know, you took over. I mean, Indiana doesn't have a lot of football history. You actually led them to their first bowl win.
Yes.
I think it's when you were getting carried off the field there in the video, wasn't it?
Lucky win over BYU, but I'll take it.
You know this better than anybody. They don't ask you how you won. They ask you if you won.
There you go.
And the answer was yes. We're going to enjoy this throughout the night as Coach Corso is reunited with some of his players. Going to be honored between the first and second quarter of the game, which kicks off in just about 2 hours or so. Fans are starting to file in here to Memorial Stadium. Big sellout crowd expected. All of the Ohio State fans excited to see the season start because last year, the way it ended last season was not the most pleasant Buckeye memory. In the college football playoff Fiesta Bowl, Clemson just took them apart. Cleveland Farrell got J.T. Barrett quartered tankersley with the interception. Deshaun Watson made it 24-0 Clemson. Urban Meyer's team shut out for the first time in his glorious coaching career. One of only 6 losses he suffered as the head coach of the Buckeyes. Easily the most embarrassing of the 6, and it prompted some changes here coming up in the offseason. One of them, the most notable, is a new offensive coordinator at Ohio State, which is Kevin Wilson, who until last year was the head coach at Indiana. We're going to talk some more about the circumstances surrounding Wilson's departure from here in Bloomington and the controversy there. But as it pertains to football right now, Ohio State's offense needed work last year, not just in the playoff game. With the exception of Oklahoma, they struggled a lot last year. What's the biggest difference that we'll see in the Buckeye offense with Kevin Wilson running the show?
I think the word to remember as you watch them tonight, what they're trying to find is a rhythm. They just lost the rhythm late in the year against Michigan State, Michigan, and Clemson. And I think that's what they're trying to be able to find with Kevin Wilson. And don't underestimate the importance of Ryan Day, who also comes over kind of as a co-coordinator, spent some time in the NFL with Chip Kelly. So I think what they've done is they're not throwing the offense out and what they've inherited. They're just trying to get J.T. Barrett comfortable and confident in this system, give him some answers. Whereas last year it was hitch, hesitant, unsure, delay, sack, or pressure, and he'd have to take off and run. We'll see tonight. You know, they've had some time to try to make it better. And here's an opponent tonight on the road, their first game. But look for rhythm and see if he has an answer to get the ball out instead of hesitating like he did last year.
It seems like all the reports coming out of Columbus so far during the summer was about J.T. Barrett getting the ball out of his hands quicker. You know, not sitting up there trying to read a defense, not taking deep drops, but get the ball out of his hands in rhythm, like you said, but like 3 steps, maybe 5-step drops, and get the ball into the hands of the playmakers. I think that's when J.T. is at his best. I wonder, though, have we seen the best of J.T. Barrett? Like, has he hit his ceiling? What can Kevin Wilson really go in there and do with this young man that's going to make him get over the hump, so to speak? I mean, we've seen him be a fantastic runner, but he's never been just a sharpshooter as a passer. He's pretty good on the deep ball when he has time. But is he going to be able to hit those mid-range throws with some consistency? That's what I want to see tonight against this defense that returns 9 starters.
Yeah, this could be a trap game for Ohio State. They open the game against a Big Ten opponent away from home. But I'm going to give you 3 stats to help them make a decision. Urban Meyer is 22-1 in away games. He has never lost an opening game. And they got 15 starters back. You think Ohio State will be ready? Yes, they will be ready. Don't worry about that jinx. They're ready, boys.
Okay, if Ohio State is ready, well, it might be a long night for Tom Allen. But Tom Allen has certainly brought some enthusiasm to the Indiana crowd. We saw him jumping up and giving high fives to the student section. Laura Rutledge caught up with the Indiana boss.
Thanks, Coach. You just fired up the student section over there, giving high fives to everyone. You've called this the biggest opener in Indiana history. Why is that?
Well, you know, we've never opened up with a conference opponent this highly ranked ever before. So when I saw the schedule come out, I knew this is who we were going to play. I mean, it didn't take me too long to figure out that that's what it's going to be. You know, you look back at our history. And so for me, I didn't want to dodge from that. I want to hit it head on. And I believe that our fans, our team has just been so close, and they want something to believe in. And the opportunity I saw several months ago was for this night, to get our fans united, to get them to come out, to pack this place, to get here early, and to cheer on the Hoosiers. And we're going to play our tails off for 60 minutes and embrace the opportunity that is ahead of us.
You were raised an Indiana Hoosier. What is this like for you to be the head coach here in this moment?
You know, I got tears in my eyes, you know, doing the walk. It's my first one as a head coach. It just means so much to me. So many friends and family, and you know, out there cheering us on, and you have a lot of pride in who you represent, you know, and it's personal, and it means a lot to me. And so, yeah, it's special. It's really special.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Laura, Tom, thank you very much. The emotions evident from the Hoosiers head coach who made his debut in the Foster Farms Bowl, close loss to Utah. Now, I mentioned the stat off the top that Indiana, in its history, has one win against a top 5 opponent because I'm feeling generous. There's a C note out here.
You're coming out of the gate.
Can anybody give me the oh, no, he's ready. He must know. Last time, you didn't even ask it. Exactly. Last time and only time Indiana's defeated a top 5 opponent.
He beat Purdue, and Purdue was ranked.
There you go, baby. It's only,
Wait a second. Wait a second. Bear.
Only fitting that he would win this.
You know what I mean? Come on.
You started to answer it before we asked the question.
Hey, listen, 1967.
They went to the Rose Bowl for the that win.
That's exactly
the
right.
Rose Bowl.
Against a really good Purdue team.
Who'd they beat? Mike Phipps?
And John Pott was the coach, and O.J. Simpson beat him 13-7 or something in the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
That was a great bowl game.
He was the MVP.
Next time he's going to ask you, you already know the answer. Just let him ask. Did Bear give you that? Did Bear give you that?
Yeah, I know more than Bear does out in Indiana.
About Indiana, I will agree about Indiana.
Indiana.
Okay, you can't profit from this, but do you know who comes into Indiana in 2 weeks? Oh, Butch Davis in Florida International.
Yeah, give your money back.
Here it is.
No. First quick pick of the season, Florida International and UCF. What do you think about that playing? Quick pick? Butch Davis get a win tonight? 17-point dog.
Yeah, I got Butch Davis. Yeah.
Really?
No.
I got Scott Frost.
Listen,
Downtown Orlando.
Listen, in the opener 2 years ago, FIU beat Central Florida.
UCF?
But not in beautiful downtown Orlando. This year, no.
Yeah.
USC.
UCF big.
Big.
I'm with you. I'm with you. He's calling his shot over here.
No, I'm worried about Desmond. He's calling his shot. He's feeling his oats. He's got all these lower-ranked team surprises in the playoffs. Got Butch Davis winning national championship or something. At least winning his first game.
He lives in Miami. That's what he's got to say that.
What a night it's going to be. First Thursday night of the season in college football, kicking off a wonderful weekend. Alabama one play away from a national championship. Rinaldi with Nick Saban about that play.
What did you tell your team in the locker room after losing the title with 1 second to play?
One thing that we should learn is you can't waste the failure. There's a lot of lessons to be learned for all of us in terms of what we could have done a little better, so don't waste the failure.
So eager for the season to start. You want something to react to. So which game could produce the biggest overreaction of the entire weekend? We'll look ahead to this kickoff weekend in college football. And for a decade, the Hoosier Scooter roamed the sidelines here in Bloomington tonight. Coach Corso is back. He's got nearly 100 of his former players back here to celebrate the occasion. What a night it's going to be. He'll be honored between the first and the second quarter here in Indiana's game against Ohio State. And he has been welcomed back. They have rolled out the big red carpet. Perhaps it'll be the Hoosiers pulling off the upset tonight.
College Game Day is built by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And in part by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Real Coca-Cola taste. Zero sugar, 0 calories.
Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, watching over the hard work and determination of blimp-worthy athletes for more than 60 years. Goodyear, official sponsor of the college football playoff. Now the blimp is flying high here in Bloomington. So too is Old Crimson. Flag from Washington State makes his 194th consecutive appearance on College Game Day, and you would not believe the planning and logistical effort that will go into getting the flags from here in Bloomington to Atlanta in time for 195.
Doesn't matter where we are.
It's a big deal.
Doesn't matter. We've got some potential interesting stops along the way. They're going to have their work cut out for them. But they never stops. They always get it done. Always get it done.
Yeah, it's consistent.
And, you know, I think on an opening week, hope continues to spring eternal as David Pollack has joined us here, that we'll get to Pullman, and it'll be a home game for the flag one week.
That would be pretty cool. I'd love to go to Pullman.
I think, is it the SC game? Well, they have a Friday game.
Friday night.
Friday
game.
Bear should have fixed that. If that's a Saturday game.
How about the Apple Cup? If we could have got that on a Saturday, we might could have gone there too.
Yeah.
Never know.
Sorry.
We're going to fix
The flag's here, though. The flag is here, though. The flag is consistent.
We had a game targeted last year for Washington State. Then they ended up losing a couple of games early, including to an FCS opponent.
So it's y'all's fault. You heard that, Reese.
So Washington State needs to get off to a better start. And there are a lot of teams, you know, when you come into week one, because we're so anxious for the season to start, you're so excited, you see those games, and people overreact. I think there are myriad opportunities for overreaction in some of these big matchups that we see. In week one, what is the biggest opportunity for overreaction? I think it might be Florida-Michigan. What do you think?
I think Florida-Michigan's good, but how about Bama and FSU? I think the winner is going to be...
They're done. They're in.
The winner's in.
They're the champions.
By the way, I agree with that.
He said that.
I completely agree with that. I think it will be the case, but the loser's not done.
Right.
That needs to be... That's going to be the biggest overreaction is, oh, my gosh, FSU lost or Florida State lost or Bama lost, excuse me. They're out of it. They're not going to make it back in. Very much have plenty of opportunities.
As long as they don't have a USC or Michigan performance.
It can't be a blowout.
You know what's behind that, though, is because of all the hype going into the game. That's what's behind that, you know, because they're highly ranked. I think in our business, when you're dealing with coaches, when you're dealing with coaches who are on the hot seat, especially if they lose early in the season, you're looking at UCLA's Jim Moore, Texas A&M's Kevin Sumlin. Coach Sumlin's been put on notice by his AD already. So I think the loser of that game is going to cause like a huge reaction that this guy is on the hot seat and his time is ticking. He's going to be out of there probably within weeks if he loses another game. So I think the biggest overreaction will be the UCLA Texas A&M game.
I like both of those. I'm going to go off the grid for you. I'm going to go to Friday. And if Mike Bobo and CSU take care of Colorado, get ready for all the talk of Colorado State becoming that team, and not just USF, but not the Power Five, but the Group of Five. It's going to be. There's going to be a lot of momentum for Colorado State if they beat Colorado.
There's one big problem. The number one, Alabama.
They go to Tuscaloosa.
That's a big. That's an issue.
But still, if you lose, you're supposed to lose.
Exactly, you're supposed to. So
his question was after this weekend, what's the overreaction?
Exactly.
Nothing about Tuscaloosa, right?
No, nothing about week 2.
I think David's looking at it. They don't have to go undefeated to get into a New Year's Six bowl. But I think the question would be, if they have 2 wins against Pac-12 opponents in the first 2 games, is it an overreaction or not? If they,
and I loved them last week.
They look good.
They looked really good.
We were.
We were.
Burning it up. watching the game. This team's pretty good.
Gallup could go.
Meanwhile, we're watching UMass in Hawaii.
It doesn't matter what's on. We're watching it. Doesn't matter.
We have issues.
Yes, we do. Starting 5 straight days of college football, and I mean, great games, including this one, a rare Big Ten opener on a Thursday night between the Buckeyes and the Hoosiers, and things are just going to continue to roll on. The Florida State and Alabama, first time a preseason #1 has ever played a top 3 opponent in the opening game as they break open a brand new Mercedes-Benz Stadium in a real game. I know the Falcons have played there. Then on Monday night, Herbie and I will be there for Tennessee and Georgia Tech. Speaking of potential overreaction, should the Volunteers come up a little bit short after disappointing last year, it could be that situation for them as well. College Game Day continuing here from the opening night in Indiana. My conference better than your conference. Preseason top 25, well represented by everybody. How do you evaluate the best conference? I've got an idea. It's not conference, it's division.
Day Throwdown is presented by Destiny 2. New legends will rise.
Shocking announcement out of Tuscaloosa. Steve Sarkisian, after 1 game as the offensive coordinator at Alabama, is gone to Atlanta.
It's been beyond expectations. Rome is mesmerizing. It's been a trip of faith. It's been a trip of family. It's been a trip of football.
To have a signing date before the high school football season, I think would impact high school football dramatically and be disastrous for the high school coaches and the game and the development of the players.
Bob Stoops retiring effective immediately as the head football coach at Oklahoma, will be replaced by offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley.
Stepping down after 18 years, feel like I've been absolutely the luckiest, most fortunate guy in the world. Wow, where did 18 years go?
Being here at the White House as the nation's champion, what a special moment. It's always about what's next. It's always about what's next, and the best truly is yet to come.
Coach Freeze resigned this afternoon after confirming a pattern of personal misconduct inconsistent with the standards we expect from the leader of our football team.
Boy, when you look at it all put together like that, what an eventful offseason in college football. The offseason storyline really started at the end of last season here in Indiana. Tom Allen taking over for the bowl game after Kevin Wilson, who will coach for Ohio State as the offensive coordinator tonight as the Hoosiers take the field for the first time in the regular season to face their former head coach. Wilson was asked to resign as the Hoosiers coach over what A.D. Fred Glass called philosophical differences. Now, Williams' departure came after Indiana investigated allegations a couple of times about his treatment of injured players and whether he had hurried them back to competition or shamed them while they were unable to practice. Glass said there was no smoking gun or anything of that nature connected to Williams' departure, but it did come less than a year after he'd signed a 6-year, $15.3 million contract. He was still owed $11 million and walked away for a little over $500,000. But it's a fresh start now for Wilson after Urban Meyer decided to hire him.
I know Kevin. I've known him for a long time. I know who he is. I've done my own investigations. I found out in his perspective what happened, and I was very comfortable with it.
Coach Wilson is a great, piece to what we do offensively. Same with Coach Day. They came in and had to learn our offense, just, you would say, just operating faster because they come from high-tempo offenses. But as far as plays and things like that, we still call the same plays, but still wanted to tweak them and make them better.
Talked to several people close to the Indiana program, and I wouldn't say that there is a pervasive undercurrent of sorrow that Kevin Wilson's gone. Now, some of the former players defended him. Others said that the allegations were accurate in their judgment. I think the one thing you look at is that he walked away and took so little money as opposed to how much he was owed. It would appear, that would suggest anyway, that there was some type of error in judgment going on. The players, particularly on defense tonight, I've been told really a little chip on the shoulder, a little extra edge that they want to go against Wilson tonight.
How ironic that those set of circumstances in the first game out of the chute for Kevin Wilson is right here in Bloomington against his former team and his former teammates. And, you know, I think that the players are going to spin this, the Indiana players are going to spin this in a way that gets them to rally around their new coach, and they love Tom Allen. So I think they've moved on. And I think for Kevin Wilson, there'll be some closure potentially tonight. He's got a new situation. Urban Meyer brought him in to coordinate his offense. He's in charge of this offense. He's in charge of getting J.T. Barrett right. And in my opinion, if he's able to do that tonight, I think this will be a big opportunity for him to kind of close that chapter officially and move on and get ready for the rest of this year.
And not a lot of coaches across college football can make this hire. Right. Urban Meyer can.
And Nick Saban.
Urban Meyer can. Nick Saban can. You heard a couple years ago with Jeremy Pruitt, rumblings off the field and stuff. Urban Meyer can bring him in because he has authority. You're going to do what I want you to do. You're going to do it how I want you to do it. You step in line or else you get out. And so he's a brilliant mind. There's obviously been plenty of history if you talk to players and coaches that have worked with him where there's been some volatile situations and a lot of verbal abuse and a lot of players that have taken a lot of stuff. Listen, 15, 20 years ago, that was more the norm. You played hurt. You got called names. You got played tough. Nowadays, that's not how it works.
Bo just patted you guys on the back and told you all kinds of sweet things, right? Yeah. Look at you, 21. You're so sweet. Look at you.
I had Van
Bo never raised his hand.
You know what it seems like to me, the difference is that he was a guy who was demeaning and derogatory to people outside the football program for no apparent reason. I mean, like you said, you know, we're used to coaches being tough on us because we played in that era. But this was a guy who seemed to have gone out his way. According to reports here in Bloomington, he went out of his way to just act in a negative way, a demeaning way to people who just quite frankly didn't deserve it. So even though he turned the program around, you can still be a winner without demoralizing people around you. That's why a lot of the players, especially defensive players, they pretty much want to go out there and embarrass him. He wants to come here and embarrass Indiana. He wants to score 60 points. He has an axe to grind with this program. So it's going to be an interesting matchup tonight on the football field.
And with that side of it, it's the Indiana side of it. Yeah. You know, Kevin Wilson, I'm sure, has a side of his story, and he would probably love an opportunity. He really hasn't spoken publicly much about this other than just give kind of the standard answer. Right. But I'm sure there's an Indiana side and a Kevin Wilson side, and that's part of the drama.
How does the story go? His side or her side? Somewhere in the middle?
I think there are a couple of things to remember about this. One, to your point, I think it was Tony Dungy who said you can be demanding without being demeaning. Right. However, it's also really important to point this out. It's not as if every defensive player on Indiana's team didn't like Kevin Wilson. And you also should point out that some of his former players did defend his tactics and said he did take care of them. That's very important to point out as well, to show the balance in that. And there's one more thing. As you watch this game tonight, remember the last two times Ohio State's been here, Indiana came within a touchdown of beating them both times. Exactly. If Indiana stands in there unintimidated tonight, give credit to Tom Allen for building on it, but you give Kevin Wilson credit for establishing that type of foundation and being willing to stand in and fight against the big boys of the Big Ten. But job number one for Kevin Wilson, as Kirk alluded to, is getting this guy back to the form that he showed when he was the Big Ten Player of the Year in 2014. Stats have gone down the last couple of years. Can they scoot back up under this new offense or this improved offense of Kevin Wilson? College Game Day from Bloomington as we get ready for this Big Ten opener. Nick Saban, Tom Rinaldi to reflect on the decade.
What makes me feel best about what has happened here is I've always tried to help players be more successful in life for having been involved in the program.
You know how we hear Coach Corso speak passionately every week on College Game Day. What was it like when he was in charge here in Bloomington and was leading these Hoosiers? I bet you'll hear some of that Corso patented passion.
I'm football coach Lee Corso, and 1982 will be remembered as a year with some record-breaking performances. Who will ever forget quarterback Dave Laufenberg, who in just 2 years set 9 Indiana records, and a running game led by sophomore Orlando Brown, ending with that amazing win over Purdue for the Buckeyes.
I think we've established ourselves as, I think, the premier conference in college football.
This is the best league from a competitive venue standpoint.
The Big Ten, and specifically the Big Ten East, may be the best conference in all of college football right now.
Pac-12 is really good. I think it's better than it's ever been.
I'm excited about being part of the Big 12, and I think the Big 12 is a great league.
The ACC, the best conference in college football. That's not even debatable anymore.
The Southeastern Conference remains the premier conference.
I think the Big Ten East right now is every bit as strong as I can remember.
I think this is a heck of a conference. The West right now is the best league in college football.
There's one conference that had a winning record versus Power 5 teams, the ACC.
He who raises the trophy gets to brag the most, but Ohio State has this claim to the best conference in the 3 years of the college football playoff. Only one league has produced a team to make the playoff without winning the conference, and that was Ohio State last year. So among the Power 5 conferences, it really depends on how you choose to stack it up and what you evaluate. I actually thought something Gus Malzahn said in that rip of sound might be as good a way to evaluate things as anything else. And rather than evaluate these entire expanded conferences, maybe you look at the divisions instead, because that's really the only group of teams that everybody plays at least partially the same schedule. Your crossover games are a little different. Maybe it's division. Yep. What's the best division in college football?
So, I mean, we can't include the Big 12 then, because they don't have a division.
Okay, no Big 12, they're out, right? It's a single division. Sure, you can.
I would go with, I would agree with Urban Meyer. He said the Big Ten East. I think when you look at Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan, those three teams, in my opinion, I'm very comfortable putting them in any conference, and I think they will have a legitimate chance to win that conference, or at least compete like a champion. I don't think there's any other division in college football where you can pick three teams out of one division and you will feel really comfortable and confident that that team could go out there and compete on a championship level with any conference. I don't think so.
What do you think, Kirk?
I think it just depends on how you evaluate a conference. You have your way. We all have our own way.
What's your way?
I look at
what's the Kirk Herbstreit way?
My way for a conference is top to bottom. I don't just look at the top three. I look at top to bottom. I know. I'm going to get there, but my best top to bottom. I think the best conference is still the SEC, because you go on the road to Kentucky or on the road to Vandy or on the road to Mississippi State, you got your hands full. I agree with Des on the best division. I think right now with what Jim Harbaugh has done to Michigan, I think this year when you lose 43 seniors and 10 starters on defense, and yet they're still, in my opinion, a top 10 team, I think that really illustrates how far he has changed that culture and how far they've come. You put them in there with what James Franklin's done at Penn State, Urban Meyer in Ohio State. By the way, Indiana potentially could win 8 games this year. Michigan State. I'd give the Big Ten East the nod right now.
SEC West. I think Alabama, Auburn, and LSU. Even if they're not good, they sound better than everybody else. And we
That's the way it sounds.
Well, for a decade, you're right. For a decade, you're right.
They sound better than you. But let me tell you one thing. The SEC is top to bottom the best conference in the football. No question about it.
Well, I get scraps here, so I get to reiterate. But yeah, it depends how you judge it. I think what you're saying with the Big Ten, you got 3 players. You got 3 players that are in for the national championship. But you look at the SEC West. Well, first of all, ACC, they got 2. I think SEC has 1. I think they have 1, and then maybe you put Auburn in that mix as a maybe.
If the Stidham kid's for real.
Yeah, if he's for real. But then you go down the list, you can lose, and you're still going to win if you play your C game if you're Ohio State against Purdue. You're still going to win against Wake Forest. You're still going to win against a lot of those teams.
Well, that's conference.
That's
We're talking about conference.
I'm talking about the divisions of conferences, and we're talking about SEC West, Big Ten West, ACC Atlantic. You're still going to win some of those gimmies. Ole Miss has had great times. Dak Prescott was a great player, obviously doing well in the NFL. They've had great times, so they were number 1. So I think you've seen those guys have good moments where you just have to bring better than your C game all the time. Right. You got to bring your B game. I mean, look at Alabama losing to Ole Miss a couple years ago. Clearly a better team, but they lost.
Sure. Hey, how about Mississippi State?
But we're talking 2017. Ole Miss is a different team this year. Mississippi State's
firepower.
And A&M. I mean, you can make a strong. I'm saying you can make a strong argument for the SEC West.
Yeah.
I mean, year in and year out, it's always the SEC West. I just think the Big Ten East has come a long way in the last couple of years.
I think the ACC Atlantic is pretty strong too. Bear, what say you on all of this stuff? Here we go.
you with the ACC Coastal, you know, the conference that had the national champ last year, Clemson, Florida State, who beat Michigan, Louisville with the Heisman Trophy winner.
Did I say? I meant to say Atlantic.
2017. How about the ACC Atlantic? Yeah, I'm thinking Coastal. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 2017. So, Bear, you're agreeing with me to clarify, right?
Yes, I am agreeing with you on the ACC Atlantic as being right there with the Big Ten East.
Oh, so you have Big Ten East. That's your next one?
Top pick, though, right? So, yeah. I think that trio of Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, that's pretty darn good.
Okay. Hey, we got some games about to kick off. I don't know if anybody thought the Mid-American Conference was...
Wait.
Yes, of course you can. It's your night.
Yeah, exactly. Those three teams all lost their bowl games.
Right.
Okay.
Was that last year? Was that last year?
Last year, right?
Last year.
Last year.
Nobody said the MAC was the best league last year, but Western Michigan, under P.J. Fleck, made it to New Year's Six, and now P.J.'s got himself a new job. He's about to kick off in a little bit. Minnesota taking on Buffalo. Who wins that game? Give me a quick pick here.
I got Minnesota. Yeah, I'm going P.J. Fleck. Is he rowing the boat?
Yes.
You're paddling.
You're paddling. It's double arm. Double arm.
Come on, man.
We went to last year.
Circles.
I'm sorry. I grew up in Cleveland.
There's a lake there.
It was a fire on that lake.
All right, who wins it? Buffalo, Minnesota.
By the way, not only do they win this one, Minnesota's going to be 6-0, a chance to be 7-0. They're going to have a pretty good season. P.J. Fleck, yes, they win tonight.
Minnesota in opening games without rolling the boat is 18-4.
So now rowing the boat.
Yeah, without rolling the boat. And Buffalo was 2-10 last year.
Is it going to be closer in the experts?
No,
what are the experts think of that game?
Big game, Minnesota.
You'd have to ask Bear for that.
What are the experts saying about Minnesota and Buffalo? Because I think it's a given.
Touchdown.
Given they're going to win, right, Bear?
That would be, what would he, 23.
The boat.
Bear, I'll go with the boat.
I'm going with the boat.
It should be a little improvement with Leif Hall did his second year.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit better, but emotion, row the boat, I got to be excited.
Yeah, I'm with Minnesota.
Don't forget.
Oh, yeah, I'm on the boat.
Hey,
Yeah.
Buffalo's coach, Lance Leipold, he's got 6 national championships on his resume. Wisconsin Whitewater. I would have asked that for a question, but of course I was already taking $100 from me.
What about this other game?
What about Tulsa, Oklahoma State, Bear? Taking
That's
the
an
over?
interesting game. That number's actually come up a little bit, which surprises me.
What is it?
It's 19 now. I mean, you look at Tulsa a couple of years ago, they were coming off a 2-10 Montgomery in his first season. They went to Norman. They lost by 2 touchdowns. It's a 30-point dog. I mean, you look at Oklahoma State last year, 5 times, a double-digit favorite, only covered once.
So what's your point? What do you got?
It started slow lately. I might be interested in taking Tulsa there, plus that big number.
Not outright.
Tulsa, like 49, 35 or something.
Closer than 19, and take the over. It's a pack of sandwich game. They're going to score forever.
Oklahoma State, Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Exactly. 5
guy.
touchdown passes in the first game.
Your guy.
Can he play defense?
No.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
5 touchdowns.
That's where the problem
Tulsa
is.
can score.
Let's see if they can stop Tulsa's offense. Closer, yes.
Closer than the experts.
Big.
Closer or big?
I got Oklahoma State big. I got the Cowboys.
James Washington.
I kind of think that too, because last year Tulsa had a 3,000-yard passer, 2 1,000-yard receivers, 1,000-yard rusher. Another 1,000-yard rusher. 4 of those guys are gone.
Yeah, but
they always reload.
But listen, they're running that system, that Baylor system. They're going to score.
Right.
They're going to score. It doesn't even matter who's out there.
I'm with Coach. Coach is tonight.
Over. Take the over.
Coach is not. I agree with that. Take the over. How about that? Take the picture. Right, Indiana had the lead on Ohio State. Snapped a little photograph.
Man, and then some. It was the first time Indiana's ever been ahead of what it is. I called timeout. I said, down the end zone, we want a picture. We quit. The guy says, you want another picture? I said, no. 47-7 don't look too good.
Do you think that the Hoosiers tonight can get ahead of J.T. Barrett? Seemingly seen it all during his time in Columbus. 3-time captain. What can we expect from the Buckeyes' undisputed leader coming up in 2017? And here he is. A leader from the state of Texas. Of course, so much in his home state has been talked about this week with all the catastrophes in the state of Texas. JT opens the season coming up tonight.
Thursday Throwdown is presented by Destiny 2. New legends will rise.
We don't got another day. It's not a game. We gotta go every single time like your left.
This is about us. This is us against everybody else.
JT Barrett is back, one of the great leaders over the last few years in college football, even after he was injured. First year as a starter in 2014, he continued to be the inspirational leader as the Buckeyes behind Cardell Jones went on to win the national championship. But it has been a bit of a roller coaster ride for JT, starting in that 2014, taking over after Braxton Miller was hurt. Look at these numbers, responsible for 45 touchdowns. That was more than Drew Brees, but he broke a leg in the game against Michigan in the victory. Still watched his team go on to win the national championship. The following year, Cardell Jones started the season at quarterback. Braxton Miller is playing receiver. Barrett arrested for operating a vehicle while intoxicated. And then didn't have much of a game at all in the lone loss for Ohio State to Michigan State that kept him out of the Big Ten championship game and the playoff. 2016 against Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and Nebraska, he was unstoppable, but then he had a couple of really difficult games late, including the shutout against Clemson.
I described it as a roller coaster. I mean, it's full of its ups and downs, just like life, honestly. You know, I went through as far as injury, things off the field, life in general. And it was one of the things that happened at this time where I was playing football at Ohio State. To have another year, I think it's, only going to benefit me. The NFL is not going anywhere.
He could have left for the NFL. He wanted to come back. He loves Ohio State. He's one of my all-time favorite players. It's not just because he plays very well. It's because of what he stands for.
In each of the last two seasons, JT Barrett's QBR and yards per attempt both have dropped dramatically. They decreased each of the last 2 years. Now, there's a lot of optimism. Kevin Wilson in now. What do you expect to see from JT Barrett in terms of improvement, and what does he need to do? Where does he need to do?
I think, first of all, we all know quarterbacks get way too much credit, and in this case, they get too much blame. And I think if you go back to 14, he had a few guys on the perimeter. Devin Smith could get downfield. Michael Thomas could make big plays. Jalen Marshall. Think about that, the skill that they had. Last couple of years, they've not had the same group of receivers, so it's easy to look at JT, but I think it had as much to do with the relationship with JT and those receivers. How many times did we see this, guys, last year? This is a semifinal against Clemson, just looking hesitant, unsure, not feeling that he could trust it. He had some open people, but he was constantly hitching, out of rhythm, not real sure, and eventually he gets sacked by the Clemson defense. This went on the last 3 games. It also went on the road against Penn State. There's a tight end underneath. He's not real sure if it's open. By the time he wants to pull the trigger, it's not open. He's forced to just throw the football away. So Ryan Day, the quarterback coach who spent some time with Chip Kelly in the NFL with the Eagles and the 49ers, he brought in Sam Bradford tape. And he said, listen, does that guy look covered? In the NFL, he's not, because the head of the defender, he's not looking at the quarterback. Throw the football. And here he makes that throw. There's my man DeMarco Murray with a nice catch going down the sideline. So I think what Ryan Day really tried to get across in these last 6 or 7 months is trust your receivers, trust this system, and don't wait for the receiver to be wide open to deliver the football. And I think it'll be fun to see tonight how far he truly has come along. So it's not just Kevin Wilson, guys. It's a combination of Wilson and Ryan Day trying to get into the mind of JT Barrett and getting him to trust the receivers.
The one thing you showed on that tape, Kirk, that I really liked was the NFL quarterback, and who was that, Bradford?
Yeah,
Sam Bradford, how he throws with anticipation. When I speak to NFL scouts about some of these college quarterbacks, they talk about Sam Darnold of USC and how he throws with anticipation. I think that's what JT Barrett is lacking. Like you said, he needs to see a receiver wide open to pull the trigger. The reason he's sitting in the pocket and he's taking hitches, because he's waiting for the receiver to come open as opposed to throwing the receiver open. Maybe he didn't have a lot of confidence in his receivers, or maybe didn't have a lot of confidence in himself. Hopefully, with Kevin Wilson, now throughout the summer, they've worked enough with the receivers. It was a young receiving core that now he's going to come into this game tonight with the confidence to anticipate throws and throw guys open and not sit there and hold the ball for 3 or 4 hits.
And what's interesting, David, in 14, he did that. He did anticipate as a freshman. Yeah. But again, I go back to Devin Smith,
those guys,
Jalen Marshall,
dudes, exactly.
Michael Thomas.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
And that's what I think one thing to talk about when you start talking about Sam Darnold and some of these other quarterbacks, that's not him. I think he's really good at a lot of things. He doesn't have a great elite arm talent. He's not a great runner. He's a good runner. He's a really good quarterback. Yeah. He's Greg McElroy, A.J. McCarron, Ken Dorsey. He needs a great supporting cast. They have to play great around him. He can't be the guy that has to do everything for this offense. So who's going to be those young guys? Last year, Samuel was the dude. I mean, he was the dude, the focal point. Right. Who's going to step up and be those young guys around him to help him to make those plays, to take the burden off of him?
That's a big ask of those young guys.
The name that's coming out of their camp who's been hurt is Johnny Dixon. Johnny Dixon came in about 3 years ago and hasn't played much and was one of the most highly recruited wide receivers in the country out of Florida. They thought they had a gem. He hadn't played. Well, he's been healthy. He's had a great winter and spring, great camp. We'll see at number 1 tonight whether he's able to become that go-to guy downfield.
He needs his Percy Harvin.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And you've talked about this a lot. Somebody to take the top off so that they respect defense.
Opens it up.
Nobody cared about anything
Not last couple of years.
Last couple of years.
No.
Particularly last year. Well, across college football and really across all of our society, we've just been riveted by the devastation that's gone on in the greater Houston area as a result of Hurricane Harvey. And college football has reached out to help all across the country. Both of these teams tonight, Ohio State and Indiana, will be wearing decals on their helmet to try to raise awareness and continue to encourage people, if they can, to give to the relief efforts. You see the helmet on the Ohio State, the sticker on the Ohio State helmet there. Houston Strong. There have been so many remarkable fundraising efforts. You see the Day of Giving, and victims of Hurricane Harvey desperately need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to the families. Donate today by going to redcross.org/ESPN or call 1-855-999-GIVE. The Ohio State football program has donated $10,000 to the relief effort. Former Indiana basketball coach Kelvin Sampson, who's now the head coach at Houston, has done a remarkable job in raising money and also getting donations of clothes and shoes and things of that nature to help those who have just been devastated by the effects of Hurricane Harvey. Both of these teams have players from the Houston area, or from the state of Texas, I should say, some from not too far from Houston. And obviously our thoughts and prayers continue to be with all of those who have been impacted by the devastation as a result of Hurricane Harvey. Still to come. On College Game Day, Nick Saban entering his 2nd decade as the head coach at Alabama, with Tom Rinaldi.
How would you describe the pressure of the expectation that you have created?
Getting criticized if we don't win, that's the least of my worries. You want the people involved in winning the game to be doing the right things.
The Seminoles and the Crimson Tide may be the new GOAT, surpassing some of these highly anticipated season openers. 1983, Nebraska and Penn State was anticipated until they took the field when Nebraska opened up a can, 44-6. You know, Penny Lions didn't even want to play that, at least Paterno didn't, but the seniors voted too. 1984, Miami and Auburn. Auburn was #1, but the Hurricanes ranked 10th. Jimmy Johnson, pretty good debut, winning it 20-18. No, my dude. You like this one? Miami and Florida State, Seminoles #1, and
he didn't like it.
You know, sometimes these highly anticipated games do not go as expected.
I remember that night. We did not win that game, but it was one of the most exciting regular season games I ever took part in. I mean, it was a fantastic night in South Bend.
Notre Dame beat Michigan.
We lost the game.
Irish, by the way, weren't preseason #1. Miami had lost the week before to BYU, but Notre Dame took over the #1 spot and then took on #4 Michigan in their season opener. And then we have the game that Jimbo Fisher told me last year. People have been wanting Nick and me to play. I don't know if they actually want Nick and Jimbo to play. They're going to coach against each other. And you'll be able to see it on ABC Saturday night. First time a preseason #1 has ever taken on a top 3 opponent in the opener. And Alabama was 1 second away from the 5th national championship in 8 years under Saban. And they lost the Nagurski, Lombardi, Bednarik, Butkus, Outland winner. 10 draft choices, 4 of them in the first round. And still, their preseason #1. It's a testament to the dynasty, which is as good as you've seen. But remember back in the day when Bama was supposed to be dead, who in the world would take that job? Nick Saban won't take it, and if he does, he won't stay for more than a year or two as he gets ready to start his second decade with the Tide.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce the next coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban.
Your second decade here.
Thank you very much.
119 and 19. Which of those numbers is bigger to you?
The 19.
Why?
Well, I always seem to, for whatever reasons, and this is probably crazy, is you think of all the games that you didn't have success in, and what could you have done differently to maybe create a better opportunity for success for your team, your players, the situation, whatever it might be. And I take responsibility for that. So that's what I think about more than the 119.
Let's go back for a few moments to the last loss.
Watson lobs it for the end zone. Williams is knocked down. Here comes a flag. Interference in the end zone.
First and goal at the 2, 6 seconds to go. What did you think of doing?
Well, I heard that this was done in an NFL game several years ago where they were in a similar situation and they just told the defensive backs, just grab all the guys and hold them and don't let them catch the ball. And if you get a pass interference, you get a pass interference, but the clock's going to run and they can move the ball half the distance to the goal line, but they're going to be forced to decide, tie the game and win in overtime, or are we going to put it all on the line on one play?
Watson takes a snap, rolls right, looks into the end zone. Hunter in front, caught it! Touchdown! 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 With a second left!
Thinking back on it, do you wish you had done it? Had your defensive backs simply hold every receiver?
No, I think there's other things that we could have done that we could have been successful on, that adjustments that we could have made, things that we could have done. But again, we didn't know they were going to run that play in that circumstance.
What did you tell your team in the locker room after losing the title with 1 second to play?
Well, first thing I said was don't let one game define you. You know, it's not who you are. We've had a lot of success here. You guys had a very successful season. It's been a great year. But I said one thing that we should learn is you can't waste the failure.
It's not really about what you want. It's about what you're willing to do to get it.
There's a lot of lessons to be learned for all of us in terms of what we could have done a little better, whether it's in preparation or the game itself. So don't waste the failure.
You said, I don't know that I'll ever get over it.
No, I don't think I will.
Really?
But it's behind me. I don't think about it. I'm focused on, you know, next season, the next game, the next play. I mean, that's the way it is when you're a coach. But I always think about that, and because I'm always going to think that there's something I could have done better to help that team have success, the success that they strive for, worked hard for all year long.
One of the things that Nick told Tom Rinaldi that factored into his decision not to just hold on the receivers, they'd never practiced it before. And he is a stickler for preparation. Now, Saban's team, despite all the losses, one of the favorites to make the playoff again. So is the team we're going to see tonight in Ohio State. And so is the team Alabama plays Saturday night in Florida State. So, still a little exercise here. If we took these three teams, which maybe have the fewest questions, go ahead and take USC off the list too. Who's the biggest threat to make it to the playoff outside of those teams if you took them away?
That was my Final Four.
Me too. Me too.
I guess I'll take it one. Oklahoma State, because they got the Heisman Trophy winner, Mason Rudolph. He's a great passer. They got the best offensive team in the nation, one of the best. Yeah. They play Oklahoma at home, and it's about time the Pac-12 Big 12 got into the championship. I say Oklahoma State.
So, Reese, the question is one team, just one. Because I picked about three.
You picked
right?
everybody else.
I got the Canes. I got the Badgers.
You gotta to save teams for everybody else.
What happened?
Pick one.
No, but
No,
I
pick as many
got
as you
three.
want.
Yeah, I got three. I got the Canes. I got the Badgers.
Those are in his real Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, this is not. I'm just not making this up for this segment. These are the teams that I picked.
On the 10-year anniversary of maybe the most chaotic season in the history of college football, Desmond is expecting a whole lot more chaos.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, go outside the status quo sometimes.
10 years ago, App State over Michigan 10 years ago. Wasn't that 10 years ago?
Yeah,
Biggest
that did
upset?
happen 10 years ago. Was that the Stanford? Did Stanford lose to somebody that year, too?
Stanford beat USC.
Yeah, beat USC. Yeah, that was another one, right? That was the same year, right?
Yeah.
Biggest upset ever, right, Bear?
Yeah, biggest upset ever. Yeah.
In terms of points.
44, 42-point dog.
Right, yeah, Stanford. And that was Jim Harbaugh. Was that the What's Your Deal game?
Yeah.
The next year. That was next year. Okay. Next year.
All right, who have you got?
Well, I think Stanford's going to be a team that's going to be in the mix. That Pac-12 love. USC is
I like that call.
obviously. Here's the thing. I don't fully trust USC yet. I think Washington still has a little bit of holes. Stanford, obviously, the physicality. I think they're going to be great. And then I think I've gotten to the point now where I trust Clemson like I trust Alabama. And they're reloading. They're going to bring new guys in. You might not know some of their names, but it's kind of business as usual.
One team.
No.
Who do you think?
Stanford.
Stanford. That's a good pick, boy.
You're right about Clemson and how they've gotten to that point where they just reload. Washington's the easy one. I mean, that's an easy one to pick. Look at their schedule.
Non-conference.
I mean, on the road at Stanford is their toughest game. And then if they end up playing in a Pac-12 championship game, maybe against a USC. But I would say Washington is the easy one. And then I think Penn State. I think Penn State, if you're picking one outside of who has a shot, Penn State brings a lot back from last year. They got the best player in the country, in my opinion, and Saquon Barkley and Trace McSorley, what he's able to do last year, the confidence he gained. I think Penn State's for real again this year.
So I guess you're not worried about Washington's opener against Rutgers. Bear, you got a team here? What do you got?
I was going to say Stanford as well. I mean, I said it before the year. Desmond said it before the year, even before that Rice game. I think they're a very logical team. They have Washington at home. They got beating last year, so a lot of motivation. Even if they were lose to USC, as long as they were that one loss area of Washington, that game decides the Pac-12 North.
Even though it was a beautiful trip to Australia, raise of hands, who felt bad for Rice in the opening series? Stanford scores in a minute, and their first offensive possession is delay a game, holding. They're back at their own half-yard line, and here comes Stanford. What's the worst thing about Stanford is they crush you, and they help you up, and they pat you on the back. Okay, pal, you're doing good.
And those guys got to think about the flight home.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was a bad one for Rice.
Rice is going to get cooked by a lot of people. They're going to get.
Well, they played Stanford at the end of the regular season last year, so they knew what was coming.
It looks like they spent a lot of time on the curls and the squats in the offseason. They look great.
Kudos to the strength and conditioning coach.
My God, they look good.
This too, sort of in line with what we talked about the last segment. Not only with the football challenge for Rice that we've had a little fun with, just the life challenges that Rice and the University of Houston are having right now, and being displaced and worried about family and friends and loved ones, and just being out of their rhythm, and certainly pulling for them to turn things around as a result, in a tough start on the field and inconsequential compared to the difficulties that they've had to go through off the field as well. Urban Meyer getting ready to lead the Buckeyes out there. Have we
a little anxious?
We've lost a beard?
Yeah.
I was hoping we'd see that.
He looked
you know what he's thinking right now?
With the beard,
31-0. 31-0. He wants to get that taste out of his mouth. You don't think that drove them in the offseason, that walking off of that field against Clemson?
I'm just really surprised that Urban Meyer would use anything like that to try to inspire his team. What a shocker that would be. I don't know that there's anybody better at taking something like that and using it to an emotional edge than Urban. Inside College Game Day Saturday from Atlanta as we get ready for the Tide and the Seminoles, Saban and Jimbo live. You will not want to miss this family reunion story from Maryland. One of the players' remarkable story of love and going back to roots and family, and bringing down the house 10 years after Appalachian State beat Michigan. There will be video and sound you have never heard from that momentous day.
I think we can all enjoy it more and more and more every year it goes by.
I'm sure nobody goes a week without somebody talking about that game.
To be appreciated for what we did that day, that one day, man, one day.
Hey, all you got now. Everything yes, sir. Let's go. Get all three. 1, 2, 3, get.
They were such a different brand of ball than us.
Hart the setback, sneaks past the ASU defense and moves in for the touchdown.
We weren't intimidated at all.
It ain't about intimidation, man. Did you think we was going to win?
Armani Edwards.
They cash in on the 3rd down. Off to the races.
Wow. Coach Moore, he believes we're going to win.
4th quarter, Mountaineers need a stand, trying to catch up with him. The pass.
Oh, wow.
They picked up.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Corey wasn't supposed to be in that position. I was supposed to be in that position. He said, hey, let's switch.
The kick is... The Mountaineers have just beat the Michigan Wolverines.
Number 1, and that's why we number 1 in the nation. Period. Yeah. Period. Yeah. Period.
Urban sits down with Tom Rinaldi. What happened in that Buckeye loss to Clemson and how it sparks changes in the entire program at Ohio State as well. And Coach Corso back here in Bloomington, going to be honored between the 1st and 2nd quarter tonight. Take a little stroll down memory lane with the Hoosier scooter when you come back to game day.
Coach Corso, grew up, watching you on TV, of course. Hopefully get the chance to meet you.
Grew up watching him. He is silly, and we welcome him back all open arms. Can't wait to see him.
I think of Indiana football, and from the grassroots for me was Coach Corso. It's really thrilling to have him to come back and to have him back for this particular game. It was really special.
Welcome back to Bloomington.
College Game Day, built by the Home Depot, is brought to you by Pizza Hut. Turn every dollar you spend on pizza into unlimited points for free pizza with Pizza Hut's Hut Rewards program. Sign up today for double points because no one out-pizzas the Hut.
We finally back. I've been waiting for you so long, baby girl. Where you been so long?
Week 1 is payday. Running onto that field the first time is like going to cash that check.
There's an aura about the stadium, and you can see it. That little light at the end of the tunnel gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it really takes your breath away.
I remember one time I cried a little bit. That feeling is like crazy when you running out of that tunnel. You get to go out there and play the sport you love.
Finally, man. I'm so ready to get this season started. I'm ready to show people what we're really about.
There's Devon Whaley from Arkansas, SEC Network, coming up 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Brett Bielema's team, new father, or as his friends like to call him, Bert Bielema. That's what Bear likes to call him. Going to play FAMU. I'm told that they're expected to win by 100 or more.
And this is the night we find out if Whaley, he's going to step in. They've lost some great backs over the last couple of years, and see if Whaley's ready to become that guy.
And here is the guy Indiana's counting on tonight, Richard Lego, who wears the surprising number 21 because grew up watching his sister Catherine, who was an elite athlete, play soccer wearing number 21. So when he got here to Indiana, asked if he could wear it, and doesn't. Catherine will be in the stands to watch Richard play tonight. We'll see how the Hoosiers do against Ohio State coming up. Kickoff less than an hour away. This would be a monumental thing if Indiana could pull off the victory. They have come oh so close the last few years, including against that excellent Ohio State team and Zeke Elliott. Xander Diamont trying to salvage it. They needed a touchdown to either force overtime or perhaps win with a 2, and they lost by 7. Missed opportunity against a top 15 team. Then they got Iowa. Thought they were going to get them.
Yeah, big Jordan Howard. They have been so close, only to come up yet short again. Lose the lead late.
How about Jordan Howard, a long line of running backs that have gone to the NFL. Michigan also got a scare here in Bloomington. This one went double overtime, and somehow the Wolverines pulled it out, 48-41. Last year, Von Redding, another one of those running backs against Nebraska, at the time ranked 10th in the country. Oh, close, but not quite. 27-22.
Really dominated this game early against Penn State. Jumped out way ahead. Looked like they'd be okay, but give Penn State. This is the middle of that run the Lions were on, and they were able to come back and win. But another blown opportunity by IU.
Indiana pulled that one out. They could win that game tonight. Maybe somebody's going to go into the Indiana Athletics Hall of Fame. Just like our good friend Lee Corso is. Of course, Coach took Indiana to its first bowl victory by beating BYU. He's also going to be honored here later on tonight between the first and second quarter. Nearly 100 of Lee's players will return tonight to be part of this. All of them paid their own way. All of them bought their own tickets. We ran into several of your former players last night. I think one of the most meaningful things that anybody said, one of them came up to me and said, we watch Game Day every week. And most people across the country watch it to see the entertainment that is Coach Corso or to see him put on the headgear. He said, we all watch it to hear our coach. And that's what he was. Coach Tom Rinaldi on the return of the Hoosier Scooter to Bloomington.
The year was 1973. Secretariat won the Triple Crown. Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes. Watergate hearings gripped the nation. And a new football coach was arriving at Indiana.
You're a lot better than they think you are. And you've got a good chance to do something. We come to win. No question about it. Okay, let's go.
For 10 seasons in Bloomington, there were 48 wins, 68 losses, and 2 ties. But more, there were moments. Like 1979, when they stunned 9th-ranked and undefeated BYU in the Holiday Bowl. Or when Corso's team had Bo Schembechler beat at the Big House till Michigan won on an illegal fumble. Corso left after the 1982 season, but the mark he left will never be forgotten. Now, 35 years later, he returns with laughter that still echoes and a smile that never fades. Welcome back to campus, Coach. We hope you'll pose for a picture.
To the picture that Indiana took when they took the lead on Ohio State.
Yeah, man. You know, I've been involved with football as a player, as a coach, and now on television for 64 years. 64 years. And I was looking for a moment that I remembered would jump out at me. And let me tell you, it happened here at Indiana. It was a game. It was Indiana against Kentucky at Kentucky. The score was 30-30. We had the ball on the 30-yard line and 4th down. 20 seconds to go in the gun. We call a split end, post corner. He ran a perfect route. Bing, boom, he turned the defensive back around and clipped it through the ball, and he caught the ball for a touchdown. A winning touchdown. 36, Indiana, 30, Kentucky. You know who was that split end? My son, Steve.
And you know who's right here behind you, Coach? All of these players who want to share this night with you, all of these guys. Come on in here, guys. Dio and some of the guys working in the Indiana administration.
It doesn't get better than that, boy. My son, Steve, caught the winning touchdown pass. And by the way, happy birthday, Steve. It's his birthday today, but that was one play that stood out of all 64 years.
Wow.
That's cool. One moment gives me chills right now. I can't even talk about it.
Yeah, I can't imagine the emotions for you coming back here, thinking about memories like that and looking over here. Look at these guys.
Yeah, it was great. Remember I told you, when a coach dies, he leaves pieces of them in his players. And there's pieces of me right there. All those guys. I thank you, guys.
Your coach left a deep mark on the lives and the careers of all of these gentlemen who wanted desperately to be a part of. There's going to be about 100 players here. And look, Indiana would have helped them out, but these guys were like, nope, take it upon themselves, do whatever it takes to make sure they're here in Bloomington for opening night for this huge game, and most importantly, to be with you.
Thank you, buddy.
How cool was that?
Very cool.
Every now and then football gets a bad rap, and then you see some stuff like that, and you see these
you gotta realize
that are made.
The one play that My son Steve made it.
Yeah.
And that, whatever.
That's amazing.
As long as I live.
Yeah. I know Steve's watching.
You got 2 sons. You know what I'm talking about.
Hey, that's family you're talking about. These guys are family. Sometimes old headgear's business.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
we'll see where they are at the end of the game.
I don't know, Coach. Well, Brutus was the first one. We're going to have Brutus with the latest one. Headgear picks coming up in a bit.
Thursday Throwdown is presented by Destiny 2. New legends will rise.
A little over half an hour away from teeing it up here in Bloomington. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, watching over the hard work and determination of blimp-worthy athletes for more than 60 years. Goodyear, official sponsor of the college football playoff. A staple of the college football playoff is the MegaCast, but we've got MegaCast working here tonight for Ohio State, Indiana. Look at all of the different ways on the various platforms you can watch the game. Let's go down to the sideline right now. Ohio State. That's where Joe Tess is. It with Jesse Palmer.
Here in our field pass access as the O-line and D-line. It just made some contact just to get the blood flowing. But this is the group that I think really will be defining Ohio State this year. Jess, you and I have been down here during warm-ups. We got a good look at the offensive line, but this defensive line is as deep as any in the country, especially when you focus in on the defensive ends. Greg Schiano said, and he was derided this summer for saying it's the most talented he's ever coached. He was an NFL head coach, Jess. How talented are they?
Yeah, he coached some good ones at Rutgers as well, but I think that this is a grown man group right here. When I think about national champions, certainly in the college football playoff era, Clemson last year, Bama before that, Ohio State before that, they all had very big, very physical, very athletic, and very deep defensive lines. You look across the board, guys like Tyquan Lewis, Sam Hubbard, Nick Bosa is maybe coming off the bench.
Here, let's go down the line
in this defense, which is just unbelievable. And what a luxury when you can roll guys in, drive after drive, series after series, and keep them fresh to keep pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And how big would that be for Ohio State coming up against Baker Mayfield in Oklahoma next week?
Here's a guy you love right here.
Penn State.
Tyquan Lewis. Yep. I mean, this is a beast right here. Well, look at these body types. Sam Hubbard, what a freak athlete.
Those guys are 270 pounds, guys that can pass rush, but also play the run outside.
Adnan?
All right, Tess, thank you very much. You guys are talking about the defense alongside Joey Galloway here. We see this Hoosiers team right now, and certainly they don't have the acclaim, Joey, and the names of the Ohio State front seven. But obviously, if the Hoosiers are to win this game tonight, these guys have to have the game of their life and put pressure on JT Barrett.
You stand on this side of the field, and they could care less what's going on over there on the Ohio State side. The energy level here, the attitude, they're into this game. They're ready to play. If there's a team in the Big Ten that should have some confidence in what they've been able to do against Ohio State, it's Indiana. Now, they had Kevin Wilson then, and he's not here now, but these players have played this Ohio State team when they've been ranked in the top 5, and they've come out and they've had chances to win the game in the past few years. And now this team tonight gets a chance to knock off number 2 at home. They could care less who's on the other side. This team looks ready to go.
We'll see what happens with regards to the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes, but it's a great atmosphere here in Bloomington as we continue with our field pass on ESPNU. Of course, College Game Day continues with Reese Davis.
Joey, you're going to have to tuck that shirt in, kid. Just because you're down there on the sideline, you can't have the shirt untucked.
Does he ever tuck the shirt in?
No. But if he's going to be in this part of this all access, he should tighten that look up a little bit.
Yeah, it's not a good look from Galloway. He's got to tighten it up. Like Urban's tightened up the facial hair.
Yeah, it's game night. I mean, it's time to clean it up. Let's go.
Getting ready, and there are a few motivators in the game that are as good as Urban Meyer, and you might as well go ahead and get that scarlet and gray confetti ready, because in 16 seasons as a head coach, Urban Meyer has lost in the postseason exactly twice. You know what happens the next year? National championship. Urban hoisted that trophy. This is a different Urban Meyer. Grandpa had a beard in the offseason, but he's not morphing into mellow Urban. His genius is an innate sense of what his team needs in terms of motivation. He told Tom Rinaldi it was time for a little makeover.
What are we going for here? What are we doing?
You know, whoever invented the beards really knew what they were doing. I never had one.
and I quit shaving during camp, and I hate shaving like a lot of us, and I just wish it looked better, you know.
61-6. How do you assess those numbers?
I never really assessed them. I think that's pretty good. You know, I don't.
Pretty good.
Yeah, our job is to win championships. We have to do a better job with that. You have a tendency to remember the 6 or the 1. You know, the one, the last one.
Lofts it for the end zone. It's Fuller out there. Touchdown! The Tigers are pummeling the Buckeyes. Fire those confetti cannons. It is over. That gets felt over for a while.
Walking off the field, what was in your mind?
Make sure it never happens again. Fix the issues at all costs. Ohio State, you know, we shouldn't have that happen. If they're that much better than you and you lose a game, you play your very best. And Clemson, obviously, they won it all. Great team. We didn't play well, and we had some issues, internal issues that I had to get right. When you go into a game where the talent's equated, or, I mean, it's right there, you better go in full capacity. And we did not.
Do you hold on to a loss, or you let it go?
I moved on rather quickly from this one because it was a new, I called it the year of change. We've changed a lot of things, from very little things to very big things within our organization. And you don't ever want to get stale. It's year 6 now. Let's get better, and let's go get 2017 ready to roll.
J.T. Barrett tries to do it himself, and he's in for an Ohio State touchdown. Barrett looking to the end zone.
How has your relationship with JT evolved?
He's one of my all-time favorite players right now. He made a very unselfish decision. He could have left for the NFL. He wanted to come back. He loves Ohio State.
How long do you feel like he's been here?
I hear that, not that long, because I love every second of it. You know, I feel like other guys are here too long. JT, I'm going to try to find out a way to get him here one more.
Toughest moment you've had with him, Urban?
In the hotel after the game. What was going through his mind, what people were telling him, what he just experienced. You know, that was awful.
How do you describe the pressure or burden of expectation you've created?
Last year, we beat a team that we had better players in. Didn't play particularly well, won by several scores. And after the game, some people were upset. They didn't play well. But don't you love that? That if you don't play great, you sometimes don't feel great about it. No one forced you to come here. If you want to go and be silly after you didn't play very well, this is probably not a great place for you. If you enjoy the win, because everyone's got scholarships, and you want to get better, this is a good place for you.
Been a good place for winning as David Pollack rejoins us, and now tonight the offense needs a little bit of a tweak, and the former Indiana coach Kevin Wilson is there to do it for Ohio State, he hopes.
Yeah, and the reason Kevin Wilson is the offensive against Ohio State is the fact that what he did with the Indiana players. Yeah. You know, he coached against Mortimer 5 times, and they averaged 27 points a game. Wow. Indiana did against Ohio State. No wonder. Urban knew what. Hey, that guy's going to be a hell of a coach. You know, you average 27 points against somebody, that's a hell of a job, boy.
Yeah. I remember that undefeated year? Kevin put 49 on him. It was 52-49 in Urban's first year. J.T. Barrett, we've talked about his need for finding receivers that he trusts and relies on, Des.
You know, RD, last year when I watched him play, it seemed like he didn't have a lot of confidence in his guys for several reasons. Now, I put a tape together of some plays I saw last year to illustrate what the issues were offensively for J.T. Barrett. He had guys who, they just couldn't create separation. Look at this guy. You got 4 receivers in this play right here against Michigan. No one's creating any separation. So JT's hitching. He's trying to direct traffic. Finally, he's flushed out of the pocket. He has to run out of bounds. We saw that over and over again a season ago. And then the deep ball, Kirk, you alluded to this earlier. You need someone to blow the top off the defense so then it sets up the run. I think he's a really good deep ball thrower when guys can create a little bit of separation. But once again, the defensive back is draped all over him like a cheap mink coat. Now look at this right here. They forced Ohio State to play in the box. Why? Because they didn't have anybody who could spread you east and west and north and south. And when you have a defense that can dictate Ohio State's offense must play in the box, then that helps the defense defend the run like you saw on that play right there. So, Kirk, they're going to have to get some guys, some receivers going to have to emerge as a deep threat, or a guy like a Curtis Samuel or a Percy Harvin who can catch the ball in space, make a guy miss, and go the distance.
Yeah, they played in a box late in the year. They weren't. Urban's all about stretching you horizontally and stretching you vertically. There's a guy you want to keep an eye on. True freshman who's going to make a start tonight in the backfield. See, Weber there's at about 80% with a hamstring issue. So J.K. Dobbins, who missed his senior year with an ankle injury, is about to start. Last time Ohio State had a true freshman start at tailback was Maurice Claret. You know how many times that's happened? He was the first.
He did pretty good,
This is the second in the history of Ohio State football. A true freshman is about to make a start in his first game. Archie started his second game against North Carolina. Claret his first.
Where is he from?
He's from Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, and he's got some serious juice.
He also isn't built like a freshman.
No, man. He's got a trunk on him.
Our buddy Lou Holt saw practice earlier this year for Ohio State, and he called me immediately afterward. He said, I want you to keep an eye on the young man by the name of Dobbins.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to see him early tonight.
Eddie George told me the same thing. He was at a practice. He said he's one of these guys puts a foot in the ground, 80. He can go 80. So we'll see if he can get out tonight.
Some new faces, including Dobbins, and then receivers from the Ohio State offense, but a lot of guys that we're very familiar with on defense, a deep defensive line, even without the suspended Michael Hill.
The deepest D-line in the country, and a guy like Greg Schiano, who's been around the NFL and the college game and very successful. And when that guy's saying this is the best defensive line he's ever seen, you better take his word for it. You start looking at it on tape.
It's a big statement.
Sam Hubbard, Tyquan Lewis, I mean, just pick a side, guys. It's just disruption. It's absolute chaos. Watch him get off the ball, be physical, convert from run right away to pass rush. Okay, let's keep going. Jalen Holmes, Nick Bosa, who comes off the bench. He doesn't even start. Beating blocks, setting the point of attack. Then you got more guys. Draymond Jones, hyperactive, fast, plays his butt off inside. This guy will be all over the field. Wears 86, wide receiver type number. Runs like one at the defensive tackle spot. I could keep going on and keep giving you more guys. The depth is amazing. You think about tempo, you think about offenses they're going to face. They'll just be able to do this and keep them fresh.
You know, it makes me wonder, though, if this rebuilt secondary, and they have some athletes out there, if they even need to worry about it with all those defensive linemen up front.
Breaking in a lot, kind of that next wave of talent in the back end.
Here's Indiana heading in. This place starting to get electric. We talked about the Hoosiers' near misses against highly ranked opponents, but this is a team that Tom Allen, his defensive coordinator, really improved that defense for them.
You've got a veteran team who's been, a lot of those guys played in a lot of those games where they came close but couldn't get over the hump. You talk to these players, these older players on their team, they fully expect not just to compete, but they think they have a shot to win tonight at home against Ohio State.
That's true. A lot of confidence in that locker room.
There is.
You know, we just spent a lot of time, and rightfully so, talking about all of these stars from Ohio State on defense. But tonight, watch Indiana linebacker Tigray Scales.
Ooh, yes.
He led the nation in tackles for loss last year. He tackles everybody. I mean, he's the guy who came back to play another year here. He'll give Ohio State problems tonight. He's an Ohio native, too.
That's a
Cincinnati.
He's Ohio State. He's an Ohio player. They couldn't go to Ohio State, so he's got a chip on his shoulder. He was the second-team All-American. Yeah, hell of a player.
I was talking to the Ohio State staff, and it's easy to always look back and say we should have got him. Meanwhile, Ohio State is starting to recruit in Georgia and Florida and Texas. He was an under-recruited guy, but he's a great player. You're exactly right. A wrestler gives you a little bit of his mentality.
Exactly.
State runner-up in the state of Ohio, which is a big-time wrestling state, and he's had a great career. He's fired up for this one.
You know what he likes? He likes to chase quarterbacks. He likes to do it so much that Richard Lago was out in the parking lot where he lives, and Scales just pulled up in his car and jumped out of his car and started chasing him. If he's a quarterback,
going down.
He's going to chase him.
Just don't hit him. Don't hit your own quarterback.
He's going to get to hit his own.
That sounds like Polish in the hotel parking lot.
Chasing Kirk around.
That's Kirk all the time.
That sounds like a commercial.
Uh-oh.
There they are.
Best damn band in the land, boys.
The Ohio band. Ohio State
they
band.
made their trip over.
Script to Ohio. As we listen in on on this night in which the Big Ten is opening with a conference game for the first time in better than 20 years.
They give a tip of the cap to IU before they get started with the IU. Look at that.
Is that the ultimate confidence
before we get started, IU, thanks for having us.
You know what? If I didn't know better, I'd say that's a little condescending. If I were Indiana, it just made me mad. Look at all of the times that you've put on Brutus.
Wow.
The little guy.
Oh, look at that guy run with the sidelines of Indiana.
Now there's that Indiana red coming through there, too. I don't know.
College Game Day is built by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And in part by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Real Coca-Cola taste. Zero sugar, 0 calories. And Chevy, the only brand to earn J.D. Power Dependability Awards for cars, trucks, and SUVs 2 years in a row.
Got games going on right now. In fact,
already scored.
Presumptive Heisman Trophy winner Mason Rudolph.
2 minutes in, and the bell sees Heisman Trophy winner.
Cover, right, Coach? They're going to cover.
He'll get 4 more later for this. He'll get 4 more.
Take the over.
Too late. The over, but Herbie says. Pokes up on Tulsa 7-0. Aerial coverage from Bloomington provided by Goodyear tonight, watching over the hard work and determination of blimp-worthy athletes for more than 60 years. Goodyear, official sponsor of the college football playoff. It has been a while since the Hoosiers have come out of this matchup victorious. In fact, it was 1988. Herb Street was messing with the rabbit ears, trying to get the reception. Then Anthony Thompson going over the top. You know what? Indiana ran rough shot.
They got after it that day.
Indiana, we're all for you. IU.
47.
They call it, I think, the darkest day.
That was the year before.
Okay.
When Earl Bruce lost, called it the darkest day. Little did you know next year was going to be darker. When Coop got there and they lost 41-7.
By the way, Anthony Thompson was a bad man.
And that Bill Mallory.
Yes, he was.
The best coach. Bill Mallory is the best coach Indiana has ever had.
Well, yeah.
Bill Mallory.
Besides,
look at how things
played with the Sun in Michigan.
Hey, look at how things have changed, guys. Kevin Durant was 9 days old when Indiana last beat Ohio State. Gas didn't even cost $1 a gallon. All those stars that hadn't been born yet. Wow. Well, how about that? But will tonight be the night that Indiana can stop? At top of the hour over on SEC Network, Austin Allen threw for more than 3,400 yards for the Razorbacks. Arkansas and Florida A&M coming on top of the hour on the SEC Network as we celebrate this opening Thursday night of college football. And there's some other games going on. You know what that means. Got to make some picks. And because a lot of the games are perceived mismatches, going to do it with a little spread involved too, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we got Utah State and Wisconsin. You got Wisconsin covering that or not, Des?
Well, you know, I put Wisconsin in the college football playoffs, and they're going to start off huge tonight. They will cover tonight against Utah State. Let's go Badgers.
And Desmond, here's your Big Ten champion, Wisconsin, right?
Very true,
remember,
sir. Very true.
They've won 8 of 9 openers. Make it 9 out of 10, Wisconsin.
And they're going to cover, right?
Yeah, sure. Are you kidding me?
You guys haven't done your Wisconsin homework in late August, early September against teams like UNLV, Utah State. I don't know a thing about the Aggies at this point, but I'm just going to tell you, Wisconsin could show up a little flat, and I think Utah State will hang around. They win, but Utah State keeps it close.
Bear, what is that number? Again, Utah State, Wisconsin?
27 and a half.
That's why you got to win by 40.
I like that. Win by 28.
All right, another Big Ten team gets Pac-12 opponent. Washington's taking on Rutgers. Washington, a big favorite, blew them out last year. What do you got?
Oh man, I got Washington covered. Yeah, it's going to be ugly, Coach. It's going to get ugly.
That long plane trip will hurt them.
No,
they're going to by 3 touchdowns. Washington.
The only thing worse for Rutgers is going to be the long plane trip home, back home.
Yeah.
I have Washington big. I think people have kind of forgotten about old Washington. They'll remind them tonight.
Yeah, and that game's Friday. Is that right, Bear? Washington, Rutgers tomorrow night. So too is Navy and Florida Atlantic. Lane Kiffin getting to open against the option. That's a Friday night game. Who's going to win that one?
I got Navy. I think they're going to cover. Lane Kiffin's going to have to, his players going to have to get used to what the expectations are from Lane and his staff. So I think they're going to come out the box slow. I have Navy covering against FAU.
Navy won't lose to a team with Ocean in his name. They got Ocean. Florida Atlantic, right?
Yeah.
Navy will kill him. He'll beat him back. You got that.
This guy is not used to setting up the game. We got an opera going behind us, but you're not used to setting up the game with the point spread.
Yeah,
I'm looking for him.
Yeah, they're nowhere. And so I have to ask the Bear. It's -9.
Yeah. Right.
-9.
Okay. For the Navy,
that
FAU
number opened up a
10,
lot
right?
more. A lot of people on FAU in this game thinking Lane's going to turn it around.
Sneaking around?
Yeah,
I'll go FAU and Old Lane.
Okay.
I think they're going to keep it closer.
Okay, so you got 9 to play with there. All right, Bear, our next one there is New Mexico State and Arizona. What's the number on that?
23.5.
23.5 for Arizona. New Mexico, is Arizona, New Mexico State?
Arizona State.
Arizona State, I mean Arizona State. Arizona State, New Mexico State.
I got Arizona. I think Arizona will cover.
Arizona State.
Arizona State.
Yeah.
Arizona State, listen, New Mexico State gave up 39 points a game last year. 39. They're better this year. Arizona State by 38.
I'm going Arizona State. We got it figured out. It's Arizona State. I'm going with the Sun Devils.
That's why I got written down ASU. You guys try to.
No, I didn't. We got ASU.
Coaches on the hot seat. Yeah, they're covered.
We've got this game coming up in just a little bit. Ohio State and Indiana. You know, Woody Hayes lost his first game to Indiana and vowed that he would never do it again, and didn't. Woody Hayes' final victory came against Indiana, and when the Hoosiers snapped an 0-for-31 streak against the Buckeyes, as alluded to, Earl Bruce called it the darkest day of Buckeyes football. Typically, this matchup has all the drama of bug versus windshield, but it's an opener in the Big Ten, and it's got a little juice tonight.
This is going to be a completely different week 1. This is a conference game.
Been waiting for it for such a long time. Just excited to be back out there and get started. It's going to be amped up because of who we're playing, and the opportunity to be able to play in front of our home crowd to open the season is going to be awesome.
Usually we're at home in a non-conference environment. Obviously you want to win the game, but you're trying out some new things, new players. This one you can't miss.
There are many ways to watch this opener tonight. Number 2, Ohio State and Indiana, the mega cast. You can see it in the coach's film room. There's a Sky Cam available, Homer telecast as well.
Game's also on ESPN tonight, right?
Yes, it is.
Just making sure it's still on.
You'll be calling your Dave Fleming, and because of that, I'm not going to ask you to make
it. It is on ESPN.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, that's where most people are going to see it. Don't get defensive.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. I thought it was just a mega.
Give me a big key to the game. Does this game stay closer as Ohio State run away?
I think this is an experienced Indiana team. I think it's a team that truly believes in their new head coach and Tom Allen. I think Richard Lego, if he can make some big plays. Remember, this guy struggled with turnovers last year, 17 interceptions. If he avoids the big mistake, it wouldn't surprise me if we're in the third quarter and it's still a competitive game. I think this, again, it's a veteran. They've competed the last 3 years with Ohio State. They've got 18 starters back. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if this game's competitive.
Bear, you think it's competitive tonight? Bear, you think it's competitive tonight?
I do think it's a little competitive tonight. I mean, you look at what Ohio State's done in the last couple of times they've been here. Indiana's played teams close. It'll be closer than the experts think, but they're never in doubt of who's going to win.
All right. What do you say, Desmond? Who wins it?
I agree with those two gentlemen. I think it's going to be close. When you look at Indiana, they know that they can play with Ohio State. That locker room is full of kids with confidence. I think because of their secondary is so established and experienced, they're going to try to stop the run, play man-to-man on the perimeter. But I think J.T. Barry and that offense will prevail probably late in the fourth quarter. So I think Ohio State will win this game.
Okay, for 25 years, this show's been going on the road. For almost that long, you've been putting on headgear.
Yes.
The first one was Brutus.
Yes.
Oh, but you spent a decade here in Bloomington, too.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of your players are back.
Yeah,
my
they're
players.
expected.
Your son Steve caught the pass.
Tonight, wait a minute. Tonight I'm getting the Bill Orrick Award between the first and second quarter. It goes to the person that done more for Indiana that didn't graduate from the school. Wow.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot of guys.
Huge.
Boy, I tell you what. And there'll be 90 players of mine with me when I'm out there in the first quarters. But remember one thing, and it'll be very, very emotional. But forget about it. The word nice. The players, I love you. But this is strictly business. Give me Brutus.
He's just disappointed. All of these fans. He's getting booed in the stadium.
The fans here in Bloomington had such high hopes. And maybe candy stripe pants.
Wow.
Picking Brutus. Kirk's going to call the game with Dave Fleming, Laura Rutledge on the sideline as well. We'll be back at halftime. Great way to open tonight. Buckeyes and Hoosiers.
Doing the wave.